This is Matthew Kratter's Bitcoin University. Today I want to answer the question, has Satoshi's Genesis wallet been breached? There are a lot of people concerned about this. I've been getting emails and texts and DMs. Jay here in this post asking me and BTC Sessions, is this even possible? How would they know they figured out 8 of the 12 word phrase? And then a linked article, Satoshi Nakamoto's Genesis wallet with 1.1 million Bitcoin partially breached. So I went and looked up the article. This is from Crypto News. And if we take a look at it, according to an ex-user and a news published on Binance Square, so there are already some misprints here, researchers from a Kentucky-based lab have reportedly cracked 8 out of the 12 key mnemonics securing Satoshi Nakamoto's Genesis wallet. The wallet is considered to be a cornerstone of Bitcoin's creation, as the wallet holds 1.1 million Bitcoin. The Binance Square report claims there are 12 mnemonics that keep the Satoshi Nakamoto wallet secure. Out of these 12 mnemonics, 8 have been decoded. The mnemonic words include Kentucky, chat, fried, Friday, Vivo, chicken, and $50. So this is clearly a joke about Kentucky Fried Chicken. I went and looked up the tweet that this article was based on, and this is BitBot Hawkeye. In a stunning twist, the Onion News reports that researchers in a Kentucky lab have partially cracked the private keys of Satoshi Nakamoto's legendary Genesis wallet. And then, of course, a looming threat, a market flood of these Bitcoins could unleash catastrophic selling pressure. The words decoded so far, Kentucky, chat, fried, Friday, Vivo, chicken, $50. So this is clearly a joke. One reason we know it's a joke, even if you didn't get the joke that it's Onion News and Kentucky Fried Chicken, etc., is that Kentucky is not, I believe, it's not one of the words in the BIP39 word list, which we're going to talk about in a moment. So it looks like this is just another Kentucky Fried Chicken joke. And it just goes to prove yet another conspiracy theory. A conspiracy theory is something that's true that the CIA doesn't want you to believe is true. Dead Internet Theory states, according to Wikipedia, it's an online conspiracy theory that asserts due to a coordinated intentional effort, the Internet now consists mainly of bot activity and automatically generated content manipulated by algorithmic curations. When you see articles like this, you realize that Dead Internet Theory has partially become true. But I wanted to use this as a jumping off point for a more educational video, talk about Bitcoin wallets. If someone says a Bitcoin wallet today in 2024 language in Bitcoin, what they're referring to is billions of Bitcoin addresses, probably more than that. I think you can have maybe unlimited Bitcoin addresses for a given wallet, but at least billions or trillions of Bitcoin addresses that are all controlled by the same 12 or 24 word seed. This is what a Bitcoin wallet is, and you can have a software wallet, you can have a hardware wallet, but it's basically a collection of Bitcoin addresses controlled by the same master private key, which is the 12 or 24 word seed. Here's an example of a 12 word seed. It's just these English words in a particular order. Do not use this seed. What I've done is I've just taken the first 12 words from the BIP39 word list, so this has not been generated randomly. And if you use this seed, all of your Bitcoin will be stolen, especially since this has now been published on the internet. This video has been published on the internet. But the fact that it's just the first 12 words of the BIP39 word list shows that it's not random. Now you can put these words, your recovery seed, whether it's a 12 or 24 word recovery seed, you can put them, they're basically like sometimes called a recovery seed backup or a backup, because you can put your 12 word seed or 24 word seed into any hardware wallet, and all of your Bitcoin addresses and their holdings will magically appear. They'll be able to be derived by the wallet. And of course, if someone has your 12 or 24 word seed, they can move all the Bitcoin from your wallet. That's why it's very important to keep these words safe and private. If you're finding this video helpful so far, I just ask you to help to support this channel's educational mission. Hit the subscribe button. That really does help out the channel and its reach and engagement. Leave a like, leave a comment, question, suggestion for a future video, and share this video with a friend or family member. So what we've been talking about in this video, when I say wallet, we're essentially talking about an HD wallet. You may have heard this term. It stands for hierarchical deterministic wallet. Deterministic means it always derives the same Bitcoin addresses, public and private key pairs every single time. Hierarchical means that you have parent keys which generate child keys, which themselves can generate more child or children keys. So this is how it works. If you have a certain recovery seed and a certain derivation path, you can always derive the same Bitcoin addresses. HD wallets came along to Bitcoin as part of BIP32. BIP stands for Bitcoin Improvement Proposal, and seeds came as part of BIP39. That's why it's called the BIP39 word list, the Bitcoin improvement proposal number 39. So that's another problem with this article. Satoshi did not use seeds for his early addresses, his early Bitcoin addresses, since BIP 39 wasn't really proposed and begun to be used until 2013. So BIP 32 came along in 2012, and then BIP 39 came along in 2013, and Satoshi left the project in approximately 2010. So he could not have had a recovery seed for his wallet because they didn't exist yet. This is the BIP 39 word list. I'll put a link to it in the description notes below. It's 2,048 English words, and this is where the words are taken from for the BIP 39 word list. I'm going to scroll up here and see if we can find Kentucky. I don't think Kentucky is part of the word list. And yes, there is no Kentucky as part of the BIP 39 word list. So that's another reason we know this article is clearly fake. A warning though, if you take a look at this BIP 39 word list and you're thinking of picking out your own seed because maybe you want to make something funny like kangaroo, ketchup, kid, kidney, or some sentence or some poem, for example, you want to pick from here and recreate a Shakespearean sonnet or something like that. If you do that, all of your Bitcoin that you send to that wallet will be lost. So do not pick your own 12 or 24 words from this list and attempt to use them as a seed. You'll lose all your Bitcoin. Your seed, as we said before, needs to be generated randomly by your hardware wallet or software wallet using a true random number generator, what's called a TRNG. A 12-word seed is basically nothing more than the human-readable version of a 128-bit random number. If you want to see what a 128-bit random number looks like, it looks like this. It's basically, you could flip a coin, a perfectly balanced coin, and you could generate this private key, which could be then translated into a recovery seed. It's obviously very difficult for human beings to keep track of all these zeros and ones, which is why they are sort of translated into English words using the BIP 39 word list to make them easier to remember. So you have a 12-word seed. It's basically the human-readable version of a 128-bit random number, which is basically 128 zeros and ones. 24-word seed is the human-readable version of a 256-bit random number. And if you're wondering, 12-word seed is sufficient because the signing algorithm ECDSA for Bitcoin only has 128 bits of protection of entropy. And so if you're using a 24-word seed, you're actually using more randomness, more entropy than the underlying signing algorithm uses, as I understand it. So it's fine to use a 12-word seed. It's less easy to mess up. It's easier to memorize, for example, 12 words in a certain order than it is to memorize 24 words in a certain order. And again, don't use any of these recovery seeds. Don't use this random number as your seed or as your master private key, or you will run into trouble because this has now been published on the internet. Here's another thing. There's no such thing as a Genesis wallet. When they talk about Satoshi's Genesis wallet being breached, there's just a Genesis block, which is the first block in the Bitcoin blockchain, where Satoshi included his famous message, Chancellor on the brink of the second bailout for banks. I think he put it in there in hexadecimal, if I remember correctly. This address, this block, contains only one transaction, and it has 50 Bitcoin. But here's the thing, this Bitcoin from the Genesis block cannot be spent. It's hard-coded in such a way that it can never be spent. So that's another problem with this article. There is no such thing as a Genesis wallet. We have Satoshi's wallet, which is a way of referring to all of Satoshi's Bitcoin addresses. We don't even know which ones. We have a good idea some of them belong to him, but we don't know for sure which ones belong to him, her, or they. And so that's another problem with this headline. There is no such thing as a Genesis wallet. Satoshi's wallet is just loosely used to refer to the collection of Bitcoin addresses that Satoshi may have at some point and may still control the private keys to. Here's a final note if you want to understand more about how Bitcoin addresses and wallets work. If someone sends you Bitcoin to a Bitcoin address in your wallet, they can only see that Bitcoin address and what happens to it in the future. They can't work backwards from that address to figure out which other Bitcoin addresses are controlled by the same seed and are thus in the same wallet. By contrast, though, if you share your xpub with someone, and that could be a whole video on its own, if you share your xpub with someone, they can then derive all Bitcoin addresses associated with that xpub. So it's really a privacy leak. They still won't be able to steal your Bitcoin if they know your xpub. They won't be able to figure out your seed from it, but they will be able to see and derive all the Bitcoin addresses associated with it, and then perhaps watch your activity on the blockchain. So it is a privacy leak to give your xpub to someone. You can share it with a Bitcoin services company, but you should think about it before you do it, because you will be showing them all your Bitcoin addresses associated with that particular xpub. They still won't be able to figure out your seed though and steal your Bitcoin. So this is the general derivation order. I've left out a few intermediate steps and simplified it, but basically you have your seed, your 12 or 24 words, that's used to derive an xpub, and then your Bitcoin addresses are derived from the xpub. You cannot move from right to left. You cannot move from a Bitcoin address and use it to derive the xpub and then go back and figure out the seed. Perhaps with a quantum computer you could do that, but with a quantum computer you could bring down the whole US banking system as well. And Bitcoin at some point will be moving to quantum resistant Bitcoin addresses. So this is not a concern, though perhaps it is a concern for Satoshi's early addresses if he's not around to move them to a quantum resistant Bitcoin address. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.